Okay guys, first video with my own shop. This is a 4L60E, came out of a 2005 Chevy Silverado 4-wheel drive. So going to be tearing this one apart. Stock torque converter, basically a stock trans. I already drained the fluid out of this, took the pan off while it was still in the truck. The fluid was extremely burnt. Not a lot of clutch material, but a lot of brass shavings, and a lot of metal shavings. So really, we're going to be finding most likely, sorry about the noise, the garage is still open, most likely going to be a lot of bushing wear and a lot of hard parts wear. So let's get to it. Already pulled the converter out, so we'll set that aside. Start with the tail housing. Hope I'm not blocking it. Hope you guys can see it. Alright, I'll set this to the side. And okay. Did notice right off the bat, a piece of metal just came out. Fantastic. Go ahead and flip her around. Bell housing. You're going to need the E-Torx bit to take off the bell housing. Normally I do this with regular air impact, but it is night. Don't want to make a bunch of noise doing it with battery power. One thing, you want to make sure you get these bolts off on the first go, because if you strip them out, they are a pain to get out. Alright, your O-ring for your torque converter for lockup. If this is flat, flush with here, you're not going to have lockup, or if you're missing that completely, you won't have lockup. Neutral safety switch, when you take this off, make sure you take some emery cloth, 3M something, and clean off around the shaft, or you will not get that neutral safety switch off. But obviously you already have that off. So like I said, I already took the pan off, so most of the fluid should be already gone. So normal, but keep going here. Move your filter. Now I want to take off your wiring harness. This is the newer style. The older style would have more of a flat plug, kind of like your pressure manifold switch. So I'll finish getting these out. Come on now, there we go. All right. Let's pull. Let's see if we can get this guy out of here real quick. just because someone really got that one in pretty good. Let's see if we can get that spun. Now this unit has been into before. I thought at first it was just the standard stock unit, but it's not. So on the build video, we'll go through all the solenoids, show you how to ohm them out, and make sure they're good or not. I'll let you know the specs on it, at least for this year. Your lockup solenoid, should be able to shake it, hear the ball in there going back and forth. If you don't hear that shaking around, you definitely want to replace it. Let's see. Crack all these loose. These are all 10 millimeter. There are a few 8 millimeter. And you're going to have different lengths. You're going to want to make sure that you don't mix up the different lengths. You're going to be in some serious trouble. One sec. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. 2 8mm bolts, shorties, here and here, your pressure manifold switch. These are your 3 8mm bolts for your valve body. They're longer than these 10mm bolts. Do not mix those up. Pressure manifold switch. This is the later style or newer style. It's completely covered. They did that to keep the unit from shorting out. So you should be able to take this and press these down and you should hear them click. None of these are clicking at all, so this switch is bad. Two shorter 8mm bolts, obviously right here. This side might have a metal piece for your dipstick, anti-splash guard for your dipstick. Some have them, some don't. It's not critical. Alright. go. Valve body. Pretty decent shape. We'll take this apart, show you guys that. 5, 6. Got a check ball somewhere down there, I'm sure. Oh, damn. And there goes the other socket. So looks like we're doing this one by hand. Oh wow, that is tight. All right, definitely should not be that tight. Will not say who did this unit or where this unit came from, but they should know better than that. Bear with me while I get these out here. All right, accumulator. A little bit of air right there in that hole. Pops this guy right out. So everything seems to be no broken springs, nothing like that. So that's good. So we'll set this one aside. We will bring your hands up a little bit real quick. All right. This little guy, you want to make sure that you have the right size. 4L60, 4L60E usually are the same. The 700s, they were a lot longer. So if you have multiple parts laying around, just keep that in mind. Really surprised that this came off all in one piece. Usually the gaskets stick a little bit here and there, but fair enough, makes it easy. Stick that aside. Should have a check ball right here, which we do. Oh, come on now. There we go. Accumulator. When we build this back, you'll see we're going to double stack pistons in there. Makes it flush up to the top here, and I'll explain what that does on the build video, but one of the things we do, and it helps quite a lot. Now you're going to want to get this guy out. Let's fish this bolt out here. That's for your parking lever to go into your detent. Now on your harness, normally they're still good. If you have a faulty lockup solenoid, you can just buy the solenoid, cut it off here, and then splice the new one in. Honestly, if your solenoid's bad, or if you have fluid on the inside of your connector, you're going to want to replace that harness anyway. So, let's take a look. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but there was fluid in this connector, so we are going to be replacing this harness. Alright, let's see. I should be wearing gloves, but trying to get this one done quick. Middle of the night. Oh, come on now. This thing is incredibly dirty. So, normally these come right out no problem. But this one's being a bit of a pain. And that's not supposed to happen. Sorry guys. Good thing we're putting a new servo in. Alright. So this is the standard servo. We're going to go back with a Corvette servo. Stick that there. Just flip you around. Time for the pump. Sorry if I'm in your way, guys. Now, when you're rebuilding these, there are O-rings inside these pump bolts. You want to replace these O-rings. You can also do a little bit of sealant just to double secure, I suppose. Make sure there's no leaks coming out, because there is fluid that comes out of these bolts, hence the O-ring in them. So, go ahead and get this pump out of there. There we are. Okay. This is the earlier style. There is no sensor here in the pump. You're going to want to check for wear all along your surface area. These pumps you will see markings like this or shadows, but you should not feel any type of grooving anywhere in there. If you do, I would recommend replace it. But see, this one does have just a little bit of wear. You can feel it just a touch. This one we might be able to resurface and save. We'll see what happens with that. So, onto your pump. This one's the 13 vein rotor. So then your pump slide. Let's go ahead and get that spring out of there. Some come with one spring, some come with two. Depends on which style and year you have. So, on this particular, well, all rebuilds that I do, new pump. So you're going to get a new pump rotor, always the 13 vein for the 4L60s. It'll come with hardened rings. Just the upgrade that we like to do for these particular units. Now, depending on what you want out of the unit, whether it's just a touch above stock, whether you're towing, whether it's high performance, that'll depend on the type of build that we do. Oh wow. Alright. Slide's not broken, but this definitely got a little chewed up. Set that to the side. Your pivot anchor here, when you remove that, there's a spring down in here. Do not lose that. You are going to need it. So you've got your little spring right below your pivot anchor. Definitely do not lose that. Set it aside somewhere special. Same thing with your pump body, just like the stator. You're going to want to feel. Normally you'll see shadowing, but you should not feel any kind of scarring anywhere. This one, again, all this is deeper than the rest. Not by much. It's just a little bit. Like I said, we're going to try to resurface this and see if we can save this customer from having to get a whole new pump body. I'm not sure if we are going to be able to save this one. It's right on the borderline. All right. Continue on. Now, get that out. Before you start pulling drums out, what you're going to want to do is remove your band anchor. So your band rides right here. The anchor for that band is right there. So get inside there, get up on it. Usually they pop right on out. This one's a little stubborn, but that's all right. There we go. So there's your band anchor. If you were to try to remove that with the band on, it'll catch on the inside lip of the reverse drum, and then you're going to be fighting it the whole time. So, you can see that band just falls out nice and easy. The band itself still has a good amount of material on it. It is burnt up. This thing got real hot. So, let's see where we're at. Here's your reverse drum. You're going to want to check for wear on the inside between the bushings. You can see where the seals ride. You want to make sure they haven't cut into there. You also want to check your bushings. And on the reverse drum itself, you're going to want to check this whole surface area right here. If you get a straight edge with a light behind it, you'll see if this drum has any warping in it. If it does, you're going to have to get rid of it and get a new drum. There you are. And there you are. Sorry guys, pretty dark in here. Get your snap ring out. She wants to be stubborn, that's alright. The reverse clutches don't look too bad. They're definitely on their way out. But still, I mean, the steels are in worse shape than the clutches are. Set this guy aside. Now, there's a little snap ring all the way inside. Don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. Working by myself, so just a camera on a tripod. Sorry about if you guys can't see too well. Snap ring pliers. Get in there and get that guy out. Let's see where we are at. There you are. This one is usually the pain. But look at that. First try. Son of a gun. Alright. So, being a later model or newer model, rollerized instead of thrust washer, which is good. If it was a thrust washer setup, being four-wheel drive and how we're going to build it, we would have swapped to a rollerized hub. So, first things first, check your planets. You're going to look for interior wear on all of your teeth. You're going to want to check for side to side, up and down, and most importantly, any type of cross movement. These ones are nice and tight. They look pretty good. Set that aside. You're always going to want to check your bearings. If we can get that guy out of there. So, they do have a couple little press-on areas. All you have to do is just bend those over a touch. It comes apart. You can inspect the needle bearings in there, everything. Make sure it's nice and clean. Everything's good. If they're bad, definitely replace them. Don't try to reuse them. Same with all your thrust bearings. So you're going to want to check every single one of those. You definitely do not want to put them back in the unit if they are bad. Oh, come on now. Of course, just because we're on camera, we're having some troubles. But that's all right. We'll get it. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, come on now, baby. Don't be so mean. They are a pain sometimes. Sometimes they're not. One thing you definitely want to check is get these apart. You want to check all of your teeth in here. These ones are pressing in pretty bad. We're going to have to replace this piece. It is almost close to being stripped. Now, as far as the hub itself, these are really tough. These hardly ever go out. And just as so, it looks really good. So we'll just be replacing this piece right here. Off to the side. One of the weakest links is your sun shell. Get that guy out of there. These are really bad, excuse me, about stripping the teeth out on the inside right here. They'll also stress crack around here and break off. We'll be going back with a hardened lightened shell and get rid of those problems. One thing I'm noticing too, there's a lot of grinding inside of here, which means that the front drum, yep, you can see how that's been grinding on the inside of that guy. Fantastic. All right, that sucks. Since we're talking about it, let's go ahead and get into it. Sealing rings. If any of these are missing, or when you're rebuilding this, if you nick any one of these sealing rings, you're going to have issues. So you nick this one, you're not going to have third gear, you're forward. I mean, you need to make sure you pay extra attention when resizing these Teflon sealing rings, or you're going to be having some serious issues. Again, check your bearings, make sure, take them apart, clean them, make sure they're all good. Let's see. Let's get this shim out of here. And definitely should have wore some gloves. But that's alright, we're picking some up tomorrow morning. Alright, let's get into this guy and see what kind of damage we've got. They're definitely hot. Some clutch material left, not too bad. Definitely better than what I was expecting. Not quite. course, just because we got the camera on, this one wants to be a pain. Come on now. I'm gonna go from the other side. Inner snap rings usually aren't so tough. That one was definitely putting up a fight, but that's alright. Let's see. You're going to want to check this, every piece of it, take it apart, look at your sprag, make sure that everything is good. In fact, while we're here, let's go ahead and take a look. You want to check for any type of wear inside here, grooves, any deep grooves, you're going to want to replace it. On the race surface itself, you're going to want to check for any type of pitting, any chatter marks, anywhere where the sprag itself was locking up. This one has been upgraded. That's the dual sprag, the dual cage sprag. These are pretty worn. We'll replace that anyway, but here you can definitely see a lot of chatter marks on the inside of this one. So we'll replace this guy. Set that there so we don't lose you. Alright, these ones are actually not too bad. You can still see the grooves in them. They did get pretty dark, but it's not too big of an issue. Another bearing, again, take it apart, clean it, make sure it is good to go. Alright. Your engine brake or coast clutch, those almost look brand new. You can tell the color difference from this to the rest of them. So those ones were getting real hot. For some reason this one didn't get too hot at all. So, alright. There is a seal right here. You definitely do not want to forget that seal. On the build video, all this will be taken apart and we'll go through how you put all the different pistons in, everything else, and resealing on everything. And you want to check your shaft. You don't want to have any up and down play, any side to side movement. You want this nice and firm. If there's any movement whatsoever, then you've got some problems. You need to look deeper into that. Alright, continue on. Sun gear, that goes on your shell right there. Again, the problem with these shells, these are real soft. The metal's real soft. This is extremely hard. So these teeth will strip this out, no problem whatsoever. The main common cause of that is having it in reverse, backing up, and then popping it in drive before you come to a complete stop. That is, it eats these things up. It's horrible on them. All right. Let's see. Clean this off, a little slippery. Let's see if we can get this out without hurting myself or without blocking you guys too much. Oh, come on now. Don't be so mean. Let's see. Grab you and you. There we are. Sometimes it's easier to go in with a screwdriver and a little pick so you can lift this snap ring out. Alright, so down to just about the last of it. Once you get that snap ring out, you put a little pressure on this shaft. There we go. Pull the whole smash out. After you get that out, the only thing you should have sitting in there is your anti-clunk spring somewhere, right there. Set that aside, you're going to need it, don't forget it. Alright, so the only thing left in the case is that last piston. And we'll get to that when we're putting this thing back together. Alright. Now, onto this. Center support. Come on now. So, there are different center supports. This little land right here, you'll have a thin one, you'll have a thick one. You just want to pay attention to that. If you're mixing matching parts, putting one back together, make sure you check your clearances, because you could have had a small land, you're putting a big one in, or vice versa, and then you're really going to have some problems. Also, you're going to want to check your sprag assembly or one-way roller bearing. So you take these apart, you're going to check your both surfaces, just like the other sprag. You want to look for chatter marks, things like that. Check these out. Still some clutch material left. Again, super, they got very hot. So, I mean, you can tell just the discoloring on that wavy right there. There we go. This is rollerized as well. So, make sure you check that bearing, check this bearing. You're going to take this snap ring off. Again, check this hub where it meets in. So if those teeth are stripped, you're going to want to replace that. This is the very end of the unit on the inside. This is where your parking pawl actually grabs and locks the transmission. Check your insides. Make sure everything's good there. Now your rear planetary. You want to check, again, that bearing in there. Make sure that's 100%. You're also, just like the other planetary, you want to check your actual gears. Check for up and down, side to side, and any kind of twist. So, yeah, these things, wow. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm able to rock those planetary gears. So this thing is 100% toast. We're going to have to get a new one, which is a bummer. But that's alright. Trying to keep this one as low cost as possible for the customer. Output shaft, no major scoring anywhere. Everything looks really good. Again, we'll go through on cleanup. We'll clean everything up, and that's when we get a really good inspection on everything. So that's the gist of the teardown. I'm going to try to make a video on the whole cleanup process and a thorough inspection on everything. Might not be able to get to it. I am extremely busy, which is a good thing. So, but yeah, we'll check back in with this, and we'll do a video on assembly and making sure everything's set up correctly. All new bushings, everything on this thing. So we'll take you along for the ride on that one as well. Again, this is my first video. Been doing this for a while, haven't had time to make a video. So this is my first one. Let me know in the comments what you think, what I can change, how I can make it better, and we'll just keep going from there. Alright, thank you guys.